Massachusetts. So we're gonna lose loads of money here if we don't get that going. Other than that, I think that's just what it. Oh, and I don't support that solar pump farm.
Anyone else under public comment? Okay, seeing none, brings us on to board member comments.
Yeah, I wanted to have some discussion about broadcasting the county commission meetings live. Been a couple people, citizens that have asked me why that can't be done. And I think it is a good idea because we meet in the morning. Many business owners can't attend the meetings. They could watch it live if we had the ability to do that. And I see that 53rd Circuit Court does broadcast their hearings live. And we can watch those court proceedings on the internet. And I don't know, Jeff, if that is something that our IT department set up, or 53rd Circuit Court outsourced that to somebody to do that. But I don't know, is it possible that we could set up a system in here that we can broadcast these meetings live, or?
Yeah, our camera system here in this room is different than the courts. We have jam systems with their cameras are updated. So the answer is yes, we can broadcast, but we would probably use our OWL system in here, which would probably be adequate. So it's really something in the past that the board has discussed different times during work time and sessions, but it's at the discretion of the board. So from a technology standpoint, I don't see that as a huge hurdle. It's really a decision of the board.
And I mentioned this to Jeff too, and I thought we'd go with Sharon and to see if we can get a grant for something, because there are some of them out there for that, some of the companies that we use, like at our church, we put in a whole system, they have the same thing at over at the Catholic Church too. Simone system, I would say, I mean, they do it, it's something we can achieve, and we'll work on that, I believe, as a board. Is that something that we'd like to see? We'll work with that. Is that consensus on that? Figure out a couple different ways of price or whatever we're gonna do, just so, because there's also, you wanna, I don't wanna say, well, what happens at a lot of reasons why they don't air a lot of meetings is it becomes grandstanding. This was the people that, I know when I was mayor and we asked about it, and the guy, like, once we had a camera, it started up, everybody wanted to see themselves, so they had to, it caused more, and now their systems are a little better where they, it can be just basically a picture of us, and not, you can only hear, different things and not taking everybody in the full camera, so. And then we'll talk about all that, and I think every manufacturer will have suggestions, the people, the IT people will have some suggestions how to do that. I do think it's important, I think we all agree as a board that that's something to go forward looking into.
Yeah, I also think during our planning, our annual planning, we'll discuss that, but I certainly agree that our technology is there and we should move forward.
Anyone else under board member comments?
I've got a couple of things, Mr. Chair. Number one, I'd like to pile on my constituents, Mr. Coleman said, is that I'd like some clarity. This board voted unanimously to extend the Creo and put a moratorium. I guess I'm looking for some clarity and a timeline as to when that's going to happen. And the other question I have is we've directed the planning commission to do this, if I'm correct. And I just want to know how does that work? The response from the planning commission, this board, do we direct them to do that? And is there a timeline?
Would you like me to
Please,
address it?
go ahead.
So these are zoning ordinance amendments to the zoning ordinance. The planning commission has to have a public hearing on them. We had the first introduction at the meeting last week where we just talked about it, and that talk didn't come to after 11 p.m. So it was very late. We had a very long first agenda item, and then we talked at the end about the repeal of the Creo all right? And a moratorium on that. It was my understanding again that that was to take it, also to take it out of the Lake and Stream District. So if we repeal it and we go into a moratorium, we won't say where it goes at this moment in time. There'll be a zoning ordinance amendment that will come after that. Then there was also looking at the moratorium in data centers, and then looking at the industrial districts. So we had 3 or 4 different zoning ordinance amendments that were up. Those will be back at the planning commission for a public hearing on the 18th, all right? After that, it will come forward to your board. Now, you have provided direction to the planning commission what you want to see. They are going to come back, hold the public hearing, and I will draft the ordinances as you have recommended. They will make a recommendation, either yes or no. You do not have to take their recommendation. Let's say they say we recommend against repealing the CREO. Your board could decide we're still going to adopt that ordinance anyways, okay? So they are a recommending body to you. You make the final decision on the ordinance or the actual policy through the ordinance. So that's how it's going to go. There are 4 ordinances I have to draft so that Michael Turris can get them out in the agenda packet for the planning commission by the end of the week. It was also my understanding that it would come out of the Lake and Stream District from what you directed at the last meeting. Okay? So it'll be drafted that way. The planning commission may or may not recommend approval of those ordinances, but when it comes to your board, you will get to decide how, if you adopt, or if you decide to deny, then we can take further direction and draft another ordinance, if that makes sense.
So, if I may continue the question on that, so the public hearing is the 18th. What is the projected timeline before it comes back to this board?
Well, when's your next meeting after the 18th?
Probably the 28th, first, second, third.
Right.
24.
Right.
24.
So that would be the time where it could come to you, okay? You would adopt, if whatever you want to do with them, let's say you adopt them. These are zoning ordinance amendments, and under law, they must be published in the newspaper, and they become effective 8 days after publication. We have to publish them within 15 days of whatever decision you make, okay? And then they're effective 8 days thereafter. All right, now, zoning ordinances are up to a referendum. Somebody could possibly bring a referendum on these ordinances, but that's a very high bar because you have to get 15% of the people in the zoning jurisdiction, and your zoning jurisdiction is the entire county. So that's kind of unlikely, if that makes sense, okay?
Thank you. And then a couple more things, if I may. That in reference to the posting, and Mr. Vallon said, brought this to my attention about the warming shelters, and I do see they're in there. But I do think it's a valid point that maybe we should have something a little easier in our webpage. And I would ask the sheriff and Jeff to maybe take a look at that, make some adjustments, because I do think that's a valid point. And then the last thing is I'd like to recognize John Studer, if he's still here. He'd leave John is our hometown hero for our veterans. So give him a attaboy, but he's gone. So.
I'll make sure he.
Okay, very good. That's all I have, Mr. Vice Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, I also was at the planning meeting last week. Wednesday, Thursday, right?
Yes.
And they did hear our request to do that moratorium and repeal the trio. Some of them were a little leery on the, how long it was, whether it's 12 months or six months. And I think that's coming from, I was at a township meeting the other night, and evidently there's a solar project over in Monroe Township. And now they told me that they're planning on starting in March, but according to the meeting, that there's been no permits or nothing presented officially to start that. So I don't know how they can start then. But anyway, so I think some of them were worried about interfering with that project, but like we were saying, if they really wanted to get going, they could just go to the state.
Yeah.
so, like I say, they did hear us and, you know, see how that, but the big thing is, yeah, you mentioned that February 18th is the public hearing on that. And hopefully, we'll have a lot of people come to, you know, give suggestions on that. And then the other thing about the master plan list, I know the 5 townships I go to, I brought that up at 2 different meetings about, hey, anyone want to be on the planning, or the master plan committee, you know, send your name into the county. So, I mean, that's how I advertised it. I'm just saying, that's all I have.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may again, Mr. John Studer is here, our hometown hero of the month for our
He's my newest Legionnaire, by the way. He signed up last week.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, I do have a comment, primarily directed towards my fellow board members. I'd like to apologize for the length of the communications that I sent you over the weekend. It's a big matter for the edification of the general public and our citizens. It's an effort, my work that I came up with that I'll ask you all to look closely at, and I'm hoping that when we reconvene our meeting here to move the planning commission appointments forward, that perhaps we can have further discussion as to my communication. But the plan, for the benefit of the public, that I presented to my fellow board members is one where we will I've drafted a proposed resolution, and that resolution, I understand, is will be under review by the council, Catherine, and I would just, with all due respect, council, I would begin by asking to review this resolution and its inclusion into the master plan for legal sufficiency and risk mitigation, and not to revisit or reinterpret the policy decisions that this board will make. But the concept would be to approve the resolution, enter language into the master plan, which will carry us through the next decade until it's revised again, which recognizes the importance of stewardship to our natural resources, and particularly our concerns. My proposal would also require that the Planning Commission, even though state has preempted our authority, that our Planning Commission go ahead and operate as usual and go through the findings and such, and go on record as to their and our county's opposition to projects if necessary. Again, I apologize for the length of it, but I would ask that each one of you review that and give it your deep consideration. It is a path forward. It still allows us to have a voice, whether the state drowns that out or not. It's irrelevant. We've spoken our opinions. So I would ask that you look at that, and I would also ask of the vice chair to confer with the chairman and ask that this be put on the agenda for what I assume will be a reconvened meeting here shortly to appoint the 2 vacant positions on the planning commission, and thank you.
I just have one question about the planning commission. One of the comments from the audience about staying at 7. Are we going to stay at 7, or are we expanding to 9 on the planning commission?
I had discussed this with the chairman on Saturday, and I shared my opinion. And I am of the opinion that the planning commission should remain as 9 members versus 7. I think it does a couple of things here, and I'll address them now that you brought it up, Mr. Commissioner. One, it's easier to get a quorum. The larger pool you have to draw from, the more assured you are to having a quorum. I'm a firm believer that more opinions are better than less opinions on any issue, and that would assure that we have 2 other opinions as we move forward. And think we have some big issues in front of us, and I think our planning commission has changed from maybe what it was a number of years ago, where we dealt with, with relatively small considerations, but to have some big ones now. So I'd like to see that number stay at 9. That's my opinion.
That is the intent.
And the chairman once again did concur with that and asked that we make these appointments today. But if necessary, we just reconvene our meeting here. We'll be back there in a few days and do that piece of business. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that clarification.
Just a couple of comments, probably more for the public, may or may not know. Many of us are on so many different committees, and like outlay, as Rebecca did for our Straits Regional Light, I sit on that board and we meet. So we go over a lot of these things long before it comes, and it sounds like she's spending a lot of money. And there's 3 other commissioners, and we meet quarterly on her division, and then as well as other boards, and like 911, with the radios, it's been in discussion. It may seem like we're spending a lot of money there, but without a lot of discussion. I saw a couple eyes when she barked off a few of those numbers there. A few people I just want people to know that this board is pretty well informed when it comes to that, because we've had discussions today about what are the communication and what kind of level of communication. There's always room for improvement, I will say that, but I do want to say what actions that this board typically takes place here is pretty well rehearsed. It's a 134-page packet we get, so we did spend a little bit of money today, and it kind of, I want people to assure that this board is on to.
And we always have Jeff's blessings when we come in. He spends the money like it's his own.
That's good.
We like that.
We do. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Support.